Good afternoon. Please bring that light here. Come on, place it here. This is dark. Lower this thing, it's too high. Reduce it, it's too high. I'm talking about the length.
It went up to okay. This one is okay like that.
It's better. Okay. It's too high. Reduce it. Bring it down, brother. Alright, sorry I have to shout. Wanting the best. Increase this lights. Alright, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me know where you're joining us from. Good afternoon. Um, it's been a while. I've had a lot of things to do. Preparation for um so many things have been happening, and there's a lot I'll be sharing today. Let me know where you're joining me from. If you are joining me from Lagos, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining this broadcast. This is Property Matters live session. For some time I've not been online. It's due to the fact that I've been engaged. Uh, in fact, someone even suggested I should go for vacation, and I wish I can because um, now we're going to be talking about Lagos properties. Though I have a recorded video for most of the things I'll be saying today, but the video has not been recorded. However, I am going to talk about three important things you should consider when choosing your rental properties or any of your real estate investment. And the reason why today's episode is very important is that today's episode is going to be a response to so many questions that a lot of people have had. Okay, sorry, I don't know this thing has removed. So, in case you are coming across this channel, please do well to pay attention. You can also share this video, and you can also ask your questions repeatedly. So let's just quickly go into this. Now, when you are investing in Lagos, as whether you are a first-time investor or you are an avid real estate investor, you need to understand basically that every part of the investment are always shrouded in secrecy. When I talk about in secrecy, basically when they are making promotional videos or telling you about or introducing the properties to you, there are some important things you don't know. So the first thing you must understand is that if you are investing in Lagos, more importantly on the island, the first thing you need to know or the first thing you need to put into consideration is that the Lagos Highland is still not 100% developed. The Lagos Island or the Lekki, the Shongotedu, or every other axis is not 100% developed. When I talk about 100% developed, that means that there are some areas that are high risk investment destinations. And I have a video where I was explaining some of these things to you. But if you have missed the video, today is also a good opportunity for you to learn and pay attention to. The first thing you need to understand is that there are two types of properties in the market. There are two types of properties in the market. Number one, there is properties that meet your investment goal, that meet your needs, that meet your expectation. Secondly, there are other properties or there are properties that are based on the market need. Now, when I talk about market need, now the first thing you must understand if you are buying Lagos is that the industry is interest driven, and sometimes you don't buy what you need, you buy what is available in the market. And in the process of buying what is available in the market, there are some things that you must have you must have anticipated as you are buying the investment, and you now later found out that what you have bought is way different from your expectation. So there are markets that will meet your need, and there are markets or there are properties that are based on availability. And the first thing you must understand basically is that if you're buying real estate, more importantly in the Lagos axis, you need to ask this question. Number one, what is the future prospects of the property? Number two, what are the risks of the property? Number three, what do I stand to lose if things go wrong? Now, a lot of people have failed to admit that investing in Lagos generally is risky. Now, when I talk about risk, we have profitable risk, we have calculated risk, and we have uncalculated risk. Now, when I talk about profitable risk, I'm talking about investments that you may key in, and after the shortest period of time, the investment is able to scale through some unforeseen circumstances, and it turned out to be a what? A good buy for you. The uncalculated investment are those ones that doesn't always seem obvious from the instance. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is that if you are buying, the first thing you need to understand is that, does it suit my investment goal? I'm going to say it again. Does it suit my investment goal? Will this help me solve the problem that is making me to invest in the first place? Now, the reason why I'm saying this basically is that a lot of things have been happening in Lagos, a lot of things have been happening in the real estate scene, and a lot of people have ended up being disappointed with. When it comes to real estate investing, there are some three important things you need to understand. Number one is that you need to understand why you are making that investment. Now, a lot of people basically are just buying because they are persuaded to. And I was in the industry, I've been in the industry for quite some time, and for the past 2 weeks, I've been conducting several due diligence. I have a lot of reports, and I'll be sharing it in my next videos. Why it is very important that you don't generalize. Now, what are the first important thing? What is the need for that property? Now, when we talk about need, when you're buying real estate, there are different kind of need. There is the immediate need, there is the future need, and there is the market need. Now, today's episode is going to be more of something that is very intense. For instance, a bungalow is being advertised to you with all the features that is very, very attractive, that is very, very intelligent. Now, if you are buying real estate, if you are buying it because of your own personal need only, and you're not considering the immediate need, the market need, and the futuristic need, that investment will turn out to become a disaster for you. Now, in the process of trying to do this, it is very important that you critically evaluate these three needs. I'm talking about the immediate need, the market need, and the futuristic need of that investment. Now, if your real estate investment does not pass through these three fundamental things, it will be the story of what I ordered was different from what I got. Now, when a property is being marketed, the entirety of that property is not always being communicated to you as an investor. And when you are now investing in a Lagos, in a market that is very, very competitive and demanding like Lagos, there are some important things that you must understand. Number one, any investment that is not centered on market need is a waste. Any real estate investment that is not centered on the market need. When talk about market need, the principle of demand comes into consideration. Like for instance, I went to evaluate I went for a property valuation course recently, and I met with some advanced industry professionals, and we did an evaluation basically of why some projects have failed, why some projects have been abandoned, and why some projects have been extremely successful. And in the course of our conversation, we discovered basically that real estate investors don't understand the key three factors that determines real estate investment. The key three factors. Now, if you are buying because you are thinking of retirement, then one basic thing you must understand is that what are the factors that will make my retirement in that area memorable? What are the factors that will make that retirement goal achievable? Now, the reason why I'm saying this is due to the fact that when you are buying a property that you need, there are some things that you will begin to discover. But when you are buying a property that is available in the market, a property that I have this property, I'm a developer, I want to sell. So whether the property is suitable, whether there is good road network, whether there is accessibility, whether there is demand, I honestly don't care. I just want to offload that market, offload that property, make enough money, and go into another project. And 70% of the real estate investors I've spoken with, basically, I had to do a lot of intervention for some real estate investors. They've bought what they did not need. In the process of trying to salvage the situation, it became extremely difficult for them to get it. And as I'm talking to you right now, we've been able to salvage some, and some are basically out of out of solution. There's nothing we can do to salvage that. But the question basically is, the property I'm buying, does the developer consider the market demand for that location? It's very important. If the developer has considered the market demand for that location, what are my chances of recouping my investment 2 3 years? See, forget this evaluation that they will tell you that your property is worth, like you bought 40 million, and they tell you in 6 months is worth 80 million. The reality basically is that it's 80 million, or what is being projected to you, does not make sense until you have seen an investor that is willing to pay you for it. So it is very important you know that. So if the investment is not market demand investment, you are wasting your money. You are wasting your money. So you obviously want to look at this and focus essentially on it. More importantly, if you are doing a rental property, you want to put that into consideration. The second one is the futuristic need. Now, basically, if you are buying real estate as an investor, there are some key things I put into consideration. Recently, I made a decision as a property advisor. And what actually prompted that decision basically is that I've had different kind of pleasant and unpleasant experiences with real estate developers who were literally begging investors, okay, to buy their properties. This was a situation whereby most of these guys were at the primitive stage of their real estate career, and all of a sudden they were able to have achieved some level of, these same developers were able to achieve some level of developer achievement. They were able to achieve some level of wealth, and the people that they sold property to, they became inaccessible to their investors. And these are some of the things we are trying to curb, we are trying to minimize. So if your investment is not centered on market need, market demand, you are throwing away your hard-earned money. In as much as fact that Lagos State is a gold mine, there are still some investments that you will do in this our same Lagos that will turn out to become a disaster. So the first thing is, does my investment suit into the market need? Does it suit into the futuristic need? And does it suit into my own personal need? Now, the reason why I'm saying this basically is that when you look at the rate at which government is industrializing Lagos, Lagos is becoming highly industrialized, highly industrialized. And because of the fact that industrialization right now is happening at a rapid, at an unpredictable rate, it has now become very important for us to now pay attention to which the kind of policies government are putting. Because you see, if you are buying investment in Lagos and you don't understand government policies and how these policies may either affect your property negatively or positively, and you're just throwing around because of beautiful PR and the likes, you keep making it. And that is why a lot of people today, they've been investing in Lagos for 5 6 years, and they cannot categorically tell you this is what when I talk about return, I'm not talking about a projected return. I'm talking about a realizable or a realistic return. And that is why it has become extremely difficult for some people to flip their properties. Now, what must you now do for you to do the right investment? Number one, look beyond the promises, look beyond the promotion, look beyond the, the oratory, and look beyond the beautiful cameras and the drone, because sometimes those things can be misleading. I'm not saying you should not buy, but understand that a lot of people have bought nonsense because they were what? They were properly packaged to you. A lot of people, a lot of real estate companies today spend money on PR. They will package nonsense, and you would have bought it before you realize that what you bought was useless. And the point basically I'm trying to raise now is that understand that you don't make decisions based on PR. You make decisions based on what? The demand for that location. Now, as a real estate investor, I'm choosing a location for my next real estate investment. What should I look out for? What are those things I should prioritize? Now, these things are now dependent on your aim for investing. Now, I've told real estate investors several times, and I'm going to say it again. It is very important that you begin to raise your expectation for every investment you are making. You have to raise your expectation so that if you are investing in Lagos, you'll be investing in what will be worth it in the long run. So what must you do? Number one, location. Number one, location. Location is of utmost importance. So the first thing I will pay attention to is the location. Now, I was having a conversation with a real estate investor. We had a conversation, and one of the things we discussed basically was that he said, where should I site my next rental properties? He gave an instance of a property bought somewhere in Ekpe. I think it was a bungalow, I can't remember. And he shared his bittersweet experience. I don't know if I'm allowed to use that expression. He shared his bittersweet experience, and he was explaining to me one of the reasons why he opted for that property. And today, that property right now the project has been totally abandoned. The reason why you have to raise your real estate investment higher than what you have been doing is because of the fact that not all properties can meet your expectation. I'm going to say it again. The reason why you have to raise your expectation a little bit higher is that I've seen instances whereby some people will overpromise and they will underdeliver. So if you are investing, location. Now, when you are now looking at location as a factor for investing, then there are three important things you need to put into consideration as you are investing in that location. Now, a lot of people have said um, when a location has prospect, you should jump at it. Well, I have my own reservation towards that, but today's episode will not give me the opportunity to go further into it. However, you need to understand government plan for that location. Government plan for that location is very important because you see, it is that plan that will determine what will happen to your investment 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years from today. And you also need to understand, I know a lot of people who don't like what I'm trying to say, is that when government have a developmental project for a location, that project does not happen overnight. And that is why I always frown as real estate investors who are putting all their investment in one single location. To me, it is not a smart real estate investment move. So even if they say, okay, we are building an airport, we are building a refinery. Now, those projects has been on for some time right now. But how many real estate investors have been able to use those locations to get a realistic return on investment, apart from the one that is being projected by either developers or realtors? So when you're looking at location, you want to look at government project for that location. You want to look at how soon will this project be completed? What are my chances of flipping my property? And what happens if that project stalls? Because you see, if you are doing real estate investment, you have to look at it holistically. Now, there were some couple of people who have reached out to me. I've had a lot of real estate investors, and of course, I offer real estate advice to you. For some of you who may want to probably need our expertise on one of the things we do. Yeah, if you need our expertise, I can provide some. However, it is very important that we talk about this. If a location is booming, it is important that you understand the factors that are responsible for that boom. If a location is promising, it is important for you to understand what are the factors. And more importantly, you look at, is this thing sustainable? Because you see, many people buy real estate without understanding the sustainability of the project of that area. To me, it is insane. It is realistically not wise for me to put a 70 million naira on an investment that cannot generate a cash flow of, let's be honest, of 4 million naira annually. It's unrealistic because you see, if I have that 70 million naira, I will put them in one or two cash flows that will be giving me 350,000 in rental value. Now, a lot of people are asking, is this really possible? I have people who are earning 350,000 from shortlet on the Lagos mainland. So I'm not here to tell you what I've been told. I'm beginning to tell you what some of our investors are experiencing. So it doesn't make sense for me to put 70 million naira or 80 million naira on a property that I will have to wait 3, 4 years before I can rent it out. That obviously is money mismanagement. However, I said it at the commencement of this video that there are two types of properties that are in the market. There are properties that meet your demand or the market's demand, and there are properties that needs to be sold. So if you are making a real estate investment, then you have to look at these two things holistically so that you can make a better investment decision. So for me, it is unwise, unrealistic for me to buy a property anywhere in Lagos for 80 million and I cannot stay in that location, or I cannot flip or get return investment of, let's just say realistically, 4 million naira annually. If I cannot achieve that, then that investment is a total waste. It's a needless real estate investment, regardless of where it is. It is. Because you see, you need to understand basically that if you are buying what the market needs, then you'll be able to identify what is available in the market and what can give you good return. This is one of the things that you need to look at. So location. The location. What are the proximity of that location? What are the infrastructural projects going on in that location? What is the demand for properties in that location? What are the sustainability of that project in that location? Now, if you don't understand all these three things, you will still be making one of the most profitless real estate investment. So it is not only when you buy, you can buy wrongly. So you want to look at that. The next thing you also want to look out for basically is the turnover of properties within that location. Now, one of the things we introduced recently is we sought for the service of a property valuer. And trust me, I would say from the experience I've had with a property valuer, I realized that there are some things that I did not even understand about pricing in real estate. And I would say it is very important that if you are doing real estate, you need the service of a property valuer. So if they tell you this 3-bedroom bungalow is 100 million, so what the property valuer will do basically is, first of all, look at the component of that bungalow, do an evaluation of the building materials, do an evaluation of the furnishing, the finishing, the materials and stuff used, the lighting, the quality of the tiles, the quality of the roof. They do an evaluation of the environment. They do evaluation of the value of property, and they will sum up and they will tell you it's worth it, it's not worth it. And from this, it has extremely made our work very easier for us to know that which is it. So the first thing you must also know basically is okay, I can't forget what I was saying. Now, so the most important thing you want to pay attention to basically is, can I flip when I'm in need of an emergency cash? Can I flip? Can I flip? Can I flip? So if there is a doubt towards that, then you want to reevaluate your investment strategy. It is very important we look at that, because if we don't, okay, you will keep doing the wrong real estate investment. So you want to look at flip. Then the third thing you also want to look out for basically is the rental demand. The rental demand. The rental demand. Now, in as much as fact that uh, Lagos real estate is profitable, not everywhere in Lagos is profitable. There are some areas whereby you can rent a 2-bedroom apartment in this our same Lagos for 8 million. And there are some places whereby you struggle to rent a duplex for 5 million in this our same Lagos. So you need to understand basically is that what actually determines the profitability is the what? It's the demand. It's the demand. And if you don't understand what are the factors that affect it, see, there are areas whereby a lot of people are spending millions, okay, to build properties. And I'll look at who are the indigenes of this area. And even you that you are buying properties there, you can become a security threat the people there can become a security threat to you because you are the most successful person. Imagine you having a bungalow of 100 million in a place whereby there are local people there. Automatically, you are you have become a what? Those people have become a security threat. So if the location, if the demand, if the rental demand of that areas is still averaging, let's say below 1.5, 1.6, that location is still not a good location as far as rental property is concerned. So you want to look at, so those are the three important things that you should pay attention to as you are investing in Lagos. Now, there are other things that I would have loved to discuss or probably add to this video. I have um, 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 a meeting in the next 30 minutes. So I don't intend to make this video long. But you see, these three things that I've mentioned, pay attention to them. These things that I have outlined, pay attention to them. And by the time you are able to do that, now I'm not saying you should do everything I've said, but if you pay attention to some of these things and you put them into consideration, then your investment will now be able to make more sense than the way it has been. And let's talk about why the most important thing you need to understand when it comes to reselling. Now, I've done several videos where I was talking about that one of the major challenges we've had in some part of the ibeju-lekki axis is getting an investor to buy a property um, that the owner wants to resell. And one of the things I've observed basically is that the reason why it has become extremely difficult for resale is due to the fact that real estate investors have failed to understand that it is not good to be buying overhyped properties. I'm going to say it again. Real estate investors have failed to understand that it is not always good, it is not always advisable to buy overhyped properties. And I'm not just going to go beyond that. But one important thing that I'm going to say as I close today's live session basically is that don't buy because of good oratory, because of drone. Understand how the rental market works. It is very important that as a real estate investor, you need to know a place where you are buying to wait. See, it is possible for you to spend 100 million on properties and you cannot stay there immediately. So it is not that pricing, okay, that determines if that area is a buy and moving. Mm-mm. It's not about the pricing, because I have just realized that even real estate development companies that are building in remote areas, they are adopting the same, almost the same pricing to those who are building in developed areas where the demand is. So it is very important that you understand this. Very, very important. So as a round off, what must you now do basically as you are investing in Lagos? Number one, work with a professional. And number two, always be open-minded when you are investing. Now, when I talk about open-minded, a lot of people used to have fixed attention. Okay, there was a scenario of a man, okay, and what is actually happening basically is that this man bought a land. Now, what the man has spent on that property is close to, if I'm not exaggerating, it's close to 200 million. And the man is building that house in one of the most remote village. Okay, don't let me use village because that place is now becoming. Now, he's building that property in the interior part of ibeju-lekki. Now, this man has never is based abroad, and this is why I'm going to be raising this issue. Okay, the man is based abroad. Okay, one thing I have realized, basically for people who are based abroad, is that they told him the property is in Lekki, and he did not bother to check. He didn't send somebody. He didn't. He sha bought. He has done his title, and he has built magnificent projects, big projects in that axis. When the man later found out that where they are bidding for him is inside ibeju-lekki, he was disappointed. Disappointed in the fact that they raised his expectation, and the reality of what was done for him was contrary to the expectation. So what must you now do? Talk with us. See, I have gone beyond um stages, okay, where I'm selling because I want to make money. Now everybody is in business to make money, but for us, we only want actual truth. And what is that truth? To tell you things the way they are. Now, I usually do what I call market evaluation when I'm making recommendations. And when I'm making my market evaluation, I'm always open to explain things the way they are. Now, if you want to buy a property, you need to understand how the area is. Some people can tell you Lekki, and some people's Lekki is in Admiralty, where the original Lekki is. Some people can go as far as showing you awoyaya, and they still call it Lekki. Now, the reason why I'm saying this basically is that because of the fact that there is desperation, because of the fact that there is falsehood, and because of the fact that there are interest to investment, people tend to tell you what is not obtainable in the market. So what must you now do when you are investing? Talk with a professional who will not prioritize his own interest over your own investments. The moment you are talking with somebody whose interest is just to sell you a property, you will buy nonsense, because many of them will go to the extra length, okay, of telling you what is not, simply because they want your money. And sometimes one of the cases I've been invited, to resolve for some real estate investors are cases of they didn't tell me this is how it's going to be. So these are some of the things that you need to know. So in summary, I want to invest in Lagos. What are the three important things I will pay attention to? Number one, I will pay attention to a property that has a market need in terms of rent, in terms of flipping. Flipping is at this location, how can I easily resell my properties? Number two, I will also pay attention to the what? To the demand. And number three, I will pay attention to what? Infrastructure. See, if you can pay attention to these key three things that I've explained, eh, you stop buying properties that you cannot flip whenever there's an urgent need. So I'm just going to quickly take a brief pause and respond to some questions. I have several here. Okay, so my laptop here is buzzing with messages. Okay, that's fine. Um, so I have some cute few messages on WhatsApp, and I'm going to quickly respond to them as quickly as I can. God help me, I have a lot of things to do today. So these are some of the things I'll be talking about. Okay, so let's take questions. Let's take questions. Okay, so I have a question here. So the question says, okay, Mr. Friday, good afternoon. Um, the reason I'm mentioning your name is because you gave me the permission to do so. Okay, so Mr. Friday said, how realistic is a shortlet property in the eleko axis. Okay, um, I've had some couple of colleagues of mine who are managing shortlets for investors in the Richland area, the Richland axis of ibeju-lekki. Richland is between the axis of Shakpati and Bugije. For some of us who know Richland Estate. Now, what I cannot now say is how frequent, okay, are those places being rented out. So that is not to rule out the fact that you cannot start shortlets in the Bejuleki. I'm not ruling out the fact because as we are gradually approaching the festive period, the demand for shortlet property is going to, in fact, apartment owners right now are bracing up for one of their biggest sales of the year. You know, September, October, November. Trust Nigerians, they know how to celebrate. So there are people who have shortlets in the Richland axis of Ibeju-Lekki. So they are now what I cannot now determine is how frequently those rooms or those apartments are booked. I'm not a shortlet manager in that axis. So I have to um quickly explain this so that you can have an understanding of the rental demand for that area. Now, the reason why the Richland axis has become a shortlet hotspot for some real estate investors is that for some of us who have been in that Richland axis of Ibeju-Lekki, it is heavily secured. It is properly developed. In fact, the Richland axis of Ibeju-Lekki has children playground, they have recreational facilities, and that place is like a mini Lekki in Ibeju-Lekki. So I know some couple of people who are running shortlets there, and their rooms get booked. If not, if it does not have the intake rate of what we have on the island or some places of the mainland, I can categorically that there are some people who are running shortlet there, and they're making money. However, that should not now become a yardstick for buying rental properties in a place whereby the demand is relatively low. Now, because you see, if we are making investment analysis, it is very important that we give an holistic overview so that we can thoroughly understand how the industry functions. Now, can I buy properties in the eleko axis and convert it to shortlets? Now, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. For now, for now, the eleko axis right now is presently experiencing lamplight. Okay, because of the fact that the refinery, the free trade zone, the La Campagne, Tropicana, the coastal road, for now, most of the expatriates that works in the refinery, the expatriate that works at the free trade zone, the expatriate that works at the deep sea port, majority of them still reside in the Beachwood axis, the Adiva axis, and some places of Abidjan GRA and Lekki. And the reason for that basically is that they prioritize security. They prioritize security. Now, am I saying some part of Ibeju-Lekki is not safe? I'm not gradually conclude on that, but basically, expatriates will pay attention to places whereby their life and properties can be protected. So you need to understand that. So because you see, if we are doing an evaluation of why shortage is working in this area and why it seems to be struggling in this area, is that we have to um, totally evaluate the circumstances that may be responsible for these things so that we can have an understanding of how this thing works. Okay, so that is it. So this is where I'm going to draw today's curtain. It's going to be very, very short. By the special grace of God, on tomorrow, by God's grace, I'm going to be talking about three important things you need to know about overhyped properties. Three important things you need to know about overhyped properties. So by the special grace of God, I'm going to be here um by tomorrow. I have a meeting for 6 o'clock with another real estate investor. And if you have questions, reservation and everything that you want us to talk about, you can also drop it in the comment section. I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that have joined us today. And let's do see tomorrow by God's grace. See you for now. God bless.